Wander Wealthy Podcast, episode 218 with Brittney Suttle. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Wander Wealthy Podcast. My name is Tess Wicks. I am the host of this show, founder of Wander Wealthy, and business coach to the money coaches of the world. If you are brand new here, a warm welcome to you. I am so excited that you're here. Today, we have an interview with Brittney Suttle. I am so excited to bring her on this week's show because she is here to answer all of your money questions, which might be weird, might feel a little weird if you are a money coach. You're like, my money questions, but she's coming on to talk about business stuff. So even though we are money people and we are money coaches, the business side of doing your finances can be so different than the personal side. And so I thought it would be great to bring on someone who works specifically with small businesses, female entrepreneurs specifically. But of course, if you're a male, you are welcome here. We are here to support all money coaching businesses. And she's going to answer your burning questions. So Brittney is an Indianapolis-based CPA. She's the founder of Knies & Co., which is a virtual CPA firm working with online entrepreneurs. As an educator and self-proclaimed financial guru, her mission is to make money more approachable for women. She passionately works to help female entrepreneurs get more out of their business and their life through great money management and simple systems. Now, I've known Brittney since we've been kind of following each other. This is the first time we got to actually chat, but it's so funny how the online world works because we've been following each other since she was a personal finance blogger. And honestly, I was probably also a personal finance podcaster. We both have gone through changes in our business and kind of found our sweet spot. And I think that is the first thing that we really talk about is that sometimes it takes a little bit of time to really find your niche. Obviously, my big thing is like starting out and niching down as much as you can, but also knowing that, your business, it's allowed to grow and flex and fluctuate with you, especially as you start to really hone in on what your magic potion is and who you are specifically here on this earth to serve, at least from a business standpoint. So we talk about that at the very beginning because we had connected through very different means, but have both evolved in ways that has allowed us to stay in contact. And I love the type of content that she puts out on her Instagram page specifically. So she shouts it out at the end, but I'm going to shout it out right now. If you're not following Brittney, make sure you do. Her handle is Brittney Suttle CPA, 2 T's in Brittney and 2 T's in Suttle, and then CPA. So you can check out all of the really helpful content she has. And she also has some really great freebies on her website at Knies & Co. And that's linked up in her bio. So it's super easy to find. But in this week's episode, we, of course, talk about that little niching and pivoting moment, but we also discuss other things. So one thing that she really loves to help her clients do is identify their goals, their financial goals in their business. And we talk about, the always dream-worthy 10K months and 6-figure years. And, we have a very similar stance on that. And I really wanted to get her input because she sees the money in the business. She's also achieved a 6-figure year in her side hustle. And we talk about what that means and whether that really felt like the moment for her or not. And you're going to have to stay tuned to understand, how she talks about that. But we also discuss reaching this 6-figure year in her business as a side hustle and, whether she believes that you should run your business as a side hustle or go into it full time. We talk about when the right time is to do certain things like bringing on assistants, whether that's assistants on the money side of things with bookkeepers and CPAs, and also even virtual assistants. And she also answers some really great questions for us, especially if you are a new money coach or this is a new business for you. What are the first things you should be doing on the financial side? I love to think that, again, we're all money people. We want to do it right. We don't want to get in trouble with the IRS. So Brittney is going to help us understand what we need to do at the very beginning. Like, what are the first steps to take in your business so that you can be running your business like a business. So without further ado, I'm going to just let us dive into this interview and this episode. This is number 218 with Brittney Suttle. Brittney, welcome to the Wander Wealthy podcast. I am so excited that you are here on the show. We're going to talk all things money, finance, side hustling. But first, warm welcome to you. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. The snow here is gone again, so that makes me happy.
It's springtime in the Midwest, which means you never know what you're going to get.
Oh, so true. It's snowing one week, it's 80 degrees the next.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Exactly. Well, I've done a formal introduction for you offline, but we really want to know what your story is and how you got to where you're at today. And, maybe just start off with like what it is that you do and then how did you get here?
Okay. Yeah. So, I am a CPA and I do bookkeeping and tax work and consulting work for female entrepreneurs. And really what I do is I'm kind of their, business financial advisor. I'm the person that they can talk to and ask questions to who doesn't, demean them or make them feel judged. Cause that's what I get a lot from female entrepreneurs is, they're going to these, I'll say quote unquote typical CPAs or the people that their parents use or someone referred them to, and they're getting potentially talked down to, or they're not getting the explanation. So they'll just say, my CPA told me to do this, but I don't understand why. That's not how I operate. I like my clients to know, the why behind we're doing what we're doing, and not to just, put their blind trust in me. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now. Love it. I've got a great group of clients I'm working with, and it's just a lot of fun to see their success. So how I got there is always a winding road, right? It's a winding road for everyone. So I actually started as I will say, personal finance blogger. So always had a full-time job. After I graduated college, I graduated with an accounting and finance degree, got my CPA license, did the traditional public CPA firm type thing for a few years, and found that there was still something, I guess, kind of missing there. And I was at a bridal shower, I believe bridal or baby, but I think it was a bridal shower. And one of my friends was talking about getting married. And she said, well, we're putting the wedding off for a little while because we're saving and whatnot. Because weddings, as everyone knows, are pretty costly, or they can be. And one of my other friends said, well, why don't you just take a loan out? And I was like, hold up. Don't do that. That's a horrible idea. And so that's when I realized, oh, okay, so money isn't as common sense as I thought it was for everyone. So that's when I went into personal finance blogging. Total side hustle. Did that for, I bet 3 to 4 years. I was trying to make like a go of it and make it to be something that could generate a lot of income because, as you probably know, it's a lot of work to put out all the content and share it and whatnot. And I finally got to the point where I was like hitting my head against a wall. I hired a business coach, and she said, why aren't you using the skills that you have to help female entrepreneurs? Because my passion is really helping women with their money. I had all these skills on the business side that I wasn't using to within the personal finance blogging sphere. So then I shifted and started doing just like I would say like financial advising, financial coaching, and then moved into the monthly bookkeeping and tax work because I felt that was a niche that was so underserved in the female entrepreneur community, for them to have someone who they trust and can talk to, and who kind of like looks like them and is at their level and understands their business and what they're going through, even in their day to day.
Absolutely. I love this because I brought you on to talk about money, like business finances, but this is also such a lesson in kind of niching and going about it by finding your strengths and then that untapped market in the industry. And I think that that's
Right.
so fantastic. And it's also like, this is something I hammer in all the time, but it's like once you find that and you can articulate who you're serving and the problem that you're solving, it's like the spout all of a sudden becomes unstuck and it's like it just comes
Gosh.
at you.
Yes. And it snowballs and then you're like, oh gosh, I've created a different kind of monster here.
Yep. New level, new devil, got to deal with it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So true.
All right. Well, and then you built this into a six-figure side hustle, which is entirely impressive. Why do you feel that building your business on the side instead of like jumping in full time was beneficial for you?
Yeah. So I am 100% one of those people that likes security. So I admire the people who can just like take the jump right away.
Hmm.
But for me, I didn't want to necessarily just, completely dive in. Um, so I started building this on the side. And what I found is when you build a side hustle, you have limited resources to work with in terms of your time.
Hmm.
So you obviously have other obligations, um, your full time job that you have to comply with. And so you only have so many hours in the day. And what that forces you to do is be very efficient
Hmm.
and to also scale and use things like automation, leveraging other people's time. So hiring out to essentially get the work done. And I think that is a really beneficial part of side hustling is because you figure out how to do what you need to do in less hours per day.
Yeah.
So then when you do want to maybe make the jump to full time, you can do it to where you have a better schedule, or you can really tap into more growth, or you can leave it as, a side hustle that is manageable for you and it's just additional income. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people push going full time with your business, but keeping it as a side hustle isn't the wrong answer either. You got to do what's best for you. And I think there are some major benefits in having it as a side hustle or starting it as a side hustle.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I can attest to the fact that I, which is weird because I was an actuary and I was very risk averse, but for whatever reason, I like made the jump, went full time. And with that time that you have, you think like, oh, I'm going to have all this time and I'm going to like really be able to build my business super fast. And it didn't work like that at all. Like all of a sudden, I had so many options of how to fill my time, and I could not figure out what was actually important for me to be spending my time on. And with that more limited time, you have to focus. So I think that that is so key. And then I want to talk about this kind of idea or expectation and even kind of these goals that people have and just get your opinion on it because there's a lot of push to building like doing everything full time, and then there's also a lot of push around like six-figure businesses, 10 not what 10 figure, gosh, 10,000 10K months, that's what I'm trying to
Right.
say.
Right.
What do you say to your clients when they come to you and they just have like this one huge number that they're shooting for, um and they're just like, how am I going to, how do I get there? What do I, this is my
Mhm.
goal. How do you help them break that down or even understand what that actually means for them?
Yeah. I hate those goals. I truly do.
Yes.
I truly do. And I will be the first to say I was one of those people too. So if you're like,
Mm,
wait, what's wrong with that? Um, I was you, I was chasing the six figures, I was chasing the 10K. But they're just, I mean, when you're chasing a dollar amount, it's very empty when you get there.
mhm,
And I think in the female entrepreneurial world that we live in, we are still equating the dollar amount with success.
Yes.
And I think part of that is, we're still in a society where we're chasing equality and this, that, or the other. And having that financial success kind of takes us a step towards that in this, general world. But I think there needs to be a shift in what success really means.
Mm-hmm.
And that's personal for everyone. So you say you want $10,000 a month. Well, for what? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you could live off 6,000 and be able to only work 3 days a week, is that better for you than having a $10,000 month where you have to work 60 hours
Mm-hmm.
a week? Um, I think we need to get away from just these abstract money goals and really dive into, what kind of life am I after? What am I chasing? And then turn that into a financial figure, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with having a financial goal because I think that's definitely a piece of it, but it really stems from what, you know, the amount of money you need for the life that you want, not just an arbitrary number that you throw against a wall.
Yeah. I thank you. Thank you for bringing another voice to this because I am always like, what does that mean? What does 10K months mean? But it's been, it's really been turned into this marketing kind of
Hmm.
idea of, let's just promise people lots of money. And I love that you said once you reach those goals, they're pretty empty
Oh yeah.
because, yeah, you either figure out a way to just spend all of it. And so then whatever you're looking for in terms of wholeness in life, isn't there. Or you've built a business that you actually hate because you were
Yeah.
just chasing the dollar as opposed to really thinking about, maybe the impact or what it could be doing for your family and the life that you want. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry to keep talking about it, but
No,
last
please.
year, last January, of 2020, I had my first official 10K month, and it was literally the worst month of my business. And I was working all the time. It was in the midst of like tax deadlines and everything. And I got done with that month, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've hit 10K, and it was the emptiest thing because
Yeah.
all I was doing was working. I was like,
Mhm.
this is not the life I want to lead, which led me to hire someone in May, which was great. And I'm going to be hiring again. And so,
Amazing.
yeah, it's eye opening when you get to that point. You're like, wait, this is it. This is what I was.
This is what I was building for.
Yeah,
Wow, it's not as sexy as they make it out to be on
right.
the Facebook ads.
Right. So true.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective on that. I want to shift a little bit back to, you know, starting businesses. And a lot of my clients and the coaches who listen to this podcast are building their coaching businesses either on the side. Some of them are doing it full time.
Mhm.
But a lot of them still have, because we're money people, we have these concerns about like making sure we're doing it right or making sure we at least have like our financial ducks and tools in a row.
Right.
And so I'd love for you to help us understand like when you're starting to be like, okay, I'm going to take this thing seriously.
Hmm.
What are the key things we need to have in place to get started? And just to like name a few, I think people are mostly concerned with bank accounts, LLCs, bookkeeping, kind of things like that, that we never learn about in school, of course, on
Right.
top of the regular personal finances. This is a whole nother beast. So please open the door for us and tell us what's really important.
Perfect. Here come the floodgates. No.
Yes.
Um, First and foremost, the best thing that you can do is get a separate business checking account. Do not, ladies listening to this, and gents, if you're there as well,
Mhm.
um, do not commingle your personal expenses and your business expenses. It is like, I want to bang my head against a wall whenever someone
Mhm.
comes to me with that. I'm like, no. It's so much easier come tax time if everything's separate. It's easier for you to organize. It's easier for you to see how your business is doing. So first things first, get a separate business checking account. Now, if you plan on making your business an LLC, and an LLC is good because it protects your personal assets. So people ask, well, when should I get an LLC? Should I stay a sole proprietor? An LLC is good to get if you have a significant amount of personal net worth. So if you have personal assets you want to protect, you have a house, you have significant amount of money in savings, checking, things of that nature that you want to protect, get your business set up as an LLC. Each state, you would do that through your state, and each state has different like fees that you would have to pay and filings that you have to do. So you want to check on your state to see how much that would cost. Some are more than others. Here in Indiana, where I'm at, it's really, really low cost. So it's a no-brainer. But I would say if you have a significant amount of personal net worth, definitely put your business into an LLC just so you can protect yourself. So if someone were to sue you, they can only take the assets in your business, not your personal ones. If you're going to do that, do the LLC before setting up your business bank account, because you want your business bank account in the LLC's name. So really step one is LLC if you're going to do that. Step two is get your bank account. Step three then is really keep track of your income and expenses. So you can use an Excel file, you can use something like QuickBooks or Xero, but you need to be able to see how your business is doing. I was just on a consultation with someone who I had worked with before, and she was tracking. She works with different like vendors in these marketplace meetup type things, and she was tracking her basically profit from each one based on what we had discussed in our previous consultation. And in doing that, she found out that in a couple of the markets that she's in, she's actually losing money. So when you have the ability to see that, that's what's going to really help you grow your business and make sure you're just not, throwing money out the window. So being able to really track that is number three. And then for tax purposes, I always say if you're, 1 minute into your business, you should have a CPA to help you with your taxes, 100%.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people get really kind of scared about what all of this stuff entails. And it's really just about kind of attacking it one by one. And it's so, so beneficial to just have someone who you can tap into to say, hey, what should I do next? What should I be considering? And that is like such a good investment. I've always had a CPA. I've been fortunate to have a CPA. And so a lot of times, I'll get asked questions and I'm like, you just got to get someone on your team because I don't want to become an expert in, I do sometimes like do that research, but I'm like, I'd much rather just ask someone who knows the answer and not spend. And I think this is an issue with money people, because we're a little, we like to save where we can, but you also have to consider that that's a lot of time. And plus it's taxes. So we just want to make sure that that's taken care of. Don't try to save money on that perspective.
Exactly. And I will say having a CPA is going to be more of an investment than a cost for your business, because they're going to be able to help you save so much money. I mean, there's loopholes out of the wazoo in the tax code if you know where to find them. And CPAs know how to do that, especially CPAs who specialize in whatever niche you're in. So definitely have a CPA on your side.
Yes, perfect. All right. With that, what should new business owners be aware of or thinking about earlier on, like not waiting to the last minute, And what can they do to help ease the burden of tax time? So hiring a CPA is obviously the first one. What else do they need to be making sure that they're doing so that they can, potentially also make their CPA's life easier?
Yes, lovely question. One that I always see, track your mileage. So
Mm,
you can write off the mileage that you drive for anything that's business related. So make sure that you are tracking this. You can do that through an app like Mile IQ. You can do that if you have QuickBooks through your QuickBooks app, um, or you can do it manually in a nice little, Excel or Google Doc file. Just make sure you're tracking things like that. Um, Again, just being organized with your income and expenses. So having that separate bank account is going to be helpful. And then pulling that into, a summary showing total income and then your expenses by different categories. That's very helpful. Um, I would say those are probably the biggest things. And just be very, I would say more documentation is better than less.
mhm.
So keep your receipts, um, keep any or when you organize your business, so you'll get documents from the IRS and the government. Just keep all of that in a folder in case your CPA ever needs it.
Mhm. When we talk about mileage, I'm just curious here with like online business owners,
Mhm.
they're typically not driving to like go see clients. I'm sure some
Right.
do see clients in person, but like what would be, you know, what could we potentially be considered a business purpose for using our car?
Yeah. If you're going to Target and you buy an agenda book,
Oh.
that is mileage. If you are going to, let's say, a store to get client gifts or something of that nature, or you have to run to the post office to mail something, or, if you are meeting a client, or you have to go somewhere for internet because your internet's down or something of that nature. Any of those business purpose.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. The other question I have is around with that kind of falls into the organization is around like cell phones, internet,
Yeah.
even with any sort of home office kind of deductible expenses. How do you recommend keeping those organized in order to be able to write off a portion of that for tax time?
Yeah. So what I typically tell people is you can keep that as a personal expense. So you can keep paying that out of your personal checking account. Just keep track of how much you spent for the year. So whether that's through statements or you can log in, typically to your online account. Um, Keep track of the total that you spent on each of those for the year. And then what you're going to have to do is basically allocate a percentage of your total expense to business versus personal.
Mhm.
So, how much are you using your phone each day for business? How much are you using it to just, scroll TikTok or Instagram or using home internet for Netflix, that kind of thing? And it's not an exact science. There's no formula you can plug something into. You're just going to have to essentially use your best estimate.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for answering those nitty gritty questions. Let's talk profit first. I know that you're a big fan. I'm a big fan. I've talked about it quite a lot on this podcast in the past. How do you help your clients get started with profit first? And then how do you use it to help them strategize for business growth?
Yeah. So, with Profit First, I won't go into the details of it since you've covered it so often. But with my clients, essentially, we want to make sure we have a few months of really good data.
Mhm.
So, when I bring new clients on, typically there's a cleanup process so that we have really clean financials to work from. And then from there, we will set their percentages based on the historical averages that we're seeing for their business. So, for instance, if they are spending, 40% of what they're bringing in on operating costs, then we'll set that at 40%, and then we'll just adjust as we see fit going forward with those expenses, those percentages. And then in terms of using it to strategize for business growth, what I love to do is, for instance, if we are allocating 40% of someone's total income to operating expenses, and they are significantly under that each month, you can do a couple of things. You can lower that percentage and, pay yourself more. You could put it towards some big investment, whatever. Or you can leave that percentage as is and invest in something for your business that you need for growth. For instance, if you want to potentially hire a virtual assistant, if that 40% would cover your current operating expenses plus that virtual assistant, you know that you're ready to go and you can hire that virtual assistant. If you want to invest in, let's say, a coach or something like that, again, if that 40% can cover your current operating expenses plus the cost of that coach, you're good to go. So it's really just a mix of getting those percentages where you want them to be, and then are you creating like a little bit of a gap in that operating budget that you can then reinvest to grow your business. So that's what I love using Profit First for, is for that growth piece.
Mm-hmm. And
If
I
that
think
makes sense.
yeah,
Makes
it
sense.
does. Yeah. And for anyone who's brand new to Profit First, I will definitely link some older episodes that walk through it in the show notes. But ultimately, it's like, again, we're all money people here. It's like the envelope system, but for
Yeah.
businesses. And you just allocate a percentage of, instead of your income on the personal side, you're allocating a percentage of your revenue to these different envelopes. And one of the big ones for business owners is obviously how much you're spending in your business. So, like Brittney was saying, with 40%, if you're spending less than 40% pretty consistently, then you might be able to hire someone, whether that's a coach or a VA. And that perfectly leads me into the next question, which is about outsourcing and like, when is the best time to outsource, to hire? But mostly, as we think about hiring someone that can help us with our financial goals. So hiring a bookkeeper, hiring a CPA. I think we answered the CPA one already. But how can we determine when we're ready to bring on some help? And maybe it's even hiring in general, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like we said, you should have a CPA right away as soon as you open the doors of your business and you start earning money to help you with your taxes and whatnot. In terms of other pieces of outsourcing and hiring a bookkeeper, there's a couple things that play into that. If you like that part of your business and you're able to keep up with allocating and categorizing everything each month so that you have a good view of your income and your expenses every month, then you can get away with continuing to do that yourself and DIYing it for a little while. I typically say until you're making about 50 to 60K in your business, you probably don't want to necessarily hire a bookkeeper monthly. Because you should be able to still DIY that up until that point. And I don't think it's the best use of your funds because you're still in like major growth mode. Now, should you have a CPA for your taxes? Absolutely. But do you need someone doing your monthly bookkeeping? Not really. Once you hit that 50, 60K, then you can determine if that's something that you want off your plate. If you hate it, you don't have time for it, it's a time suck that you could be using to invest in sales and marketing and growth for your business, that kind of thing. In terms of affording it, again, that's when I go back to Profit First. If you're doing that allocation and you have excess money each month left over from your operating allocation or your operating budget, then you can afford it. So
Beautiful.
that's
Just
my answer, and I'm sticking to
look at the
it.
numbers, pay attention. Okay, one last question as it relates to the finances in the business.
Yeah.
What's your best tips for finding and hiring a CPA since we've determined that this is a must do?
Yes. So I would say referrals is honestly the best. So find other people in your industry
Hmm.
and ask them who they work with and if they like that person, if that person's pretty knowledgeable in their niche.
Hmm.
That's what I would say above all else. I've had quite a few people actually find me just by like an Instagram hashtag, and that's fine too. Um, but I would say definitely just get with other people in your industry and see who they're using.
Does state matter?
State typically does not matter. Some people will only work with clients in their state, just depending again on what kind of niche that they're in.
Hmm.
Um, but no, state typically does not matter too much in the grand scheme of things.
Good to know. So we start our filtration process by industry, and then if state is important, we'd go there.
Yes. Yeah. I would focus on industry more so than state at the beginning.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brittany, for answering these detailed questions and sharing your expertise with us. I want to go into the money round now. Since this originated as a money podcast, we're
Yeah.
keeping true to our roots. And I'd first love to know, as a money person, what is your relationship with money like today compared to, and how has it changed since you've started your business? Because you were still a money person, you were a CPA originally working for a big firm, but like becoming a business owner is also a big drastic, money change. So
Right.
what give us the deets.
Yeah. So, I will say I was very like anal and type A with my money back when I was a personal finance blogger, and I have really simplified how I manage both like my personal and my business money,
Mhm.
which is nice. It's kind of like letting go of the reins a little bit and trusting what I've put in place, which has been nice. I used to have like a 10-page spreadsheet that I would update every month, and now I just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So I very much simplified. I will say, in terms of just like my money mindset in general, um, like I said before, I crave security and I place a lot of that security on money. And that is a quote unquote issue that I am continually working on. Um, because I don't want to be someone who feels like, they always need to earn more and more and more, and they're never on solid ground kind of
Mhm.
thing. Um, if you go back to like, how do I want to put this? I don't want to say it's like an idolization of money because it's not, but it's like my focus is so much on it
Mhm.
that it gets in the way of some things. And so I will be 100% honest. Like I'm still working on that. Being someone in the money fields, it's you don't want to admit that sometimes, but um, that's the truth. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's so good to admit, and it is the truth. And I would say if anyone feels like they don't have work to do, they're lying because we are always growing and evolving, and you are your first and best client. So you get to work on yourself before you work and or while you work on anyone else.
right, absolutely.
Okay, we want to know how you make money. And typically I keep this to your business, but you have like a couple different things going on. So tell us all the ways you make money.
Okay, all the ways I make money. So one, I have my full-time job. Um, it is a very flexible job. So I work maybe like 30 hours a week there. So I have that. I have my business. And most of my money comes from my monthly recurring bookkeeping clients.
Mhm.
And then I also do um, a few like tax only type work. And then I do consultations within my business. So I have my business income, and then my husband and I own some rental properties. So we make money there. We don't take that money out to pay ourselves. We're just reinvesting it into the business right now because we want that to be more of a retirement income stream. So that's staying there. And then, just other investments. I have a Roth IRA. I've got a traditional IRA, savings accounts, different things like that. So those are all the
Beautiful.
streams. That's it. Yeah. Diversification. Woo.
Yes, absolutely. What's your next big investment personally or for your business? What's coming down the pipe?
Yeah. So next big investment for the business is to outsource some of the work. We're probably going to hire another bookkeeper and potentially a virtual assistant coming up. And then personally, so I just had my first kiddo back in August,
Yes.
and we want to purchase a rental property for him that will be able to be used to fund his college in, 18 years. So
Yes.
we're going to be looking at that this summer and seeing what we can find. The housing market around here is crazy right now, but fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. He's going to be the best property manager at the age of 5.
Yeah, I told my husband, I was like, he's gonna learn how to run like a mini business with this property. He's gonna have Excel sheets, he's gonna be an Excel guru by the time he's 8.
I can't wait. We will check back in 8 years and see where you're at.
Oh, he's gonna be such a little nerd. I love
He's
it.
going to be just like this multimillionaire 8-year-old with multiple properties.
Oh, if only.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for answering some money questions for us. We're going to wrap up the show with the quick and dirty Q&A round, just a couple fast-paced questions. And the first one is my favorite one. I need to know, what is something super random that you just can't stop thinking about lately?
So this is very random. I just watched this documentary on Netflix about this art heist in Boston.
I watched
Did
that too.
Oh my gosh. I just can't stop thinking about it. My mind just keeps going back to it, and I don't know why. And I look up articles and everything. It was so interesting. So
You and I
interesting.
can form a task force to find these pieces of art.
Yes. Oh my gosh, dream job.
You're not alone, because this has been my recent obsession too. We are in sync.
Oh, it was such a good documentary.
For anyone who needs it, it is called This Is a Robbery. Enjoy the next day of watching that.
Yes. Oh, so good.
Perfect. What's something you love to do to step away from your business?
Um, I like to hike, but there's honestly not a lot of hiking around Indiana. So right now I really just hang out with my kiddo. I mean, he takes up a lot of my time, and we have him in daycare, so when he's not at daycare, I like to just, smush and love on him. So
Oh, beautiful. Your
mm,
favorite account to follow on social media?
yeah, okay. So this one is nothing to do with money. But she is a floral designer in Michigan. It's called Sweetwater Floral. And she used to be a TV reporter, and then she bought this farm, and she started designing uh, flowers for events. And she is this morning, she calls it Clinks with coffee, and just like comes on and talks about random stuff. And she's got some good like business advice, but she's just hilarious. I love her. Her name's Kaylin. So go check her out. You guys will love her.
That is like so random, but also very beautiful. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I met her at a
obsessed with
conference,
flowers.
yeah, in Michigan, so, um, it was awesome.
Perfect. Best piece of financial advice you've been told that you'd like to pass along?
Oh, best piece of financial advice. There's so
I
many.
know. I
I would
I'm sorry. I
It's
apologize
okay.
because it's hard to distill it down.
Yeah, I know. I'll say I don't know if it's necessarily financial advice, but the advice of, you are who you hang out with, I
Mm,
think plays into the money world as well. So, and not just like the people you hang out with, but what you listen to and what you surround yourself with and what you're reading, what podcasts you have on, what's even on your radio kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it definitely plays into your day to day and the decisions you make. So think about that, ladies. Be
There you
surrounded by
go.
good things, positive things.
Yes, absolutely. Brittney, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show today. We would love to know how we can find you online so we can just follow you and stalk you to pieces, and what opportunities you have for anyone who's looking to get their finances in order in their business.
Yeah, so you can find me. I hang out mostly on Instagram at Brittney Suttle CPA, and Brittney is spelled Brittney. You can find me there. My website is kniesandco.com, and that's KNIES and co.com. Those are probably the top two. And I am currently I've got a wait list, but I've got a wait list for my monthly bookkeeping clients, tax only clients. You can get on a wait list for that as well. And I reach out in the fall, and I'm also offering just one-on-one consultations. If anyone has business specific finance questions that you just want to like sit down and hash out together, we can do that via Zoom session anytime. So you can find all that information on my website.
Perfect. And you have some really good freebies there too. So I
Thank
will
you.
be
Yes, I
sending
do.
people your way. Beautiful. We will link those up in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been such an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's so fun. I'm glad we got to do this.
And that's a wrap. Episode 218 with Brittney Suttle. If you want to check out the show notes for this week's episode, head to wanderwealthypodcast.com/podcast/episode 218. And we are on the verge of exciting things happening here in Wander Wealthy Land. The Wealthy Coach Blueprint group program is coming back. We are going to run a summer cohort of a maximum of 12 money coaches, aspiring, new, or even frustrating, who are ready to make sure that the foundation of their business is strong and really learn how to craft a life-changing coaching program that seamlessly sells itself. You're going to get sales and marketing tips on how to really build out a coaching business and be able to set it up so that you can scale it into a full-time coaching business or a lucrative side hustle. So if that is something that you are interested in, I highly encourage you to hop on the waitlist by going to wanderwealthy.com/apply, because here's the deal. In a very short amount of time, we're at the beginning of May right now as this episode goes live. So in a very short amount of time, we are going to be opening enrollment. And if you're on the wait list, you might be getting an email from me very shortly about some super special bonuses that only you can get your hands on because you are on the wait list. So head to wanderwealthy.com/apply. Very special bonuses for those who enroll even earlier than you need to. You're not going to want to miss it. I can't tell you much more here because then everyone's going to want in on it. So you just make sure you take that action and go to wanderwealthy.com/apply, scroll to the bottom of the page, click the button, and get yourself on the wait list. All right, that's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, I hope you wander wealthy.